comfortable outdoor furniture available, and the prices are pretty comfortable too. So relax seriously and save at the Carl's Patio Super Saturday Sale.
Beautiful hair is respected everywhere. But where does beautiful hair come from? A healthy scalp. Respect yours with Head & Shoulders. Unlike ordinary shampoos and conditioners, it moisturizes hair, starting at the scalp, leaving it noticeably more beautiful and 100% flake-free. So respect the scalp, love the hair, with Head & Shoulders shampoos and conditioners.
Hello mates, I'm Flora the Dolphin for Dolphin Carpet and Tile. This weekend, Stainmaster Carpet on sale for just $2.49 a square foot, installed. Hurry in to Dolphin Carpet and Tile. You'll love your new floor.
My local news is on Local 10.
Welcome to World News. Tonight, new details on Flight 1549. Investigators say the jet suffered total engine failure. The engines were sheared off the wings on impact. The passengers recall their 6 minutes of flight. The rescuers recount their race against time. And the right man at the right moment is our person of the week.
He's a pilot's pilot, and he loves the art of the airplane.
Also tonight, his historic journey. Barack Obama looks ahead, calling for the creation of green jobs to fix the economy. And he looks back to Lincoln as he begins his trip to Washington for the inaugural.
From ABC News headquarters, this is World News with Charles Gibson.
Good evening. Everybody has called yesterday's water landing of U.S. Air Flight 1549 and the survival of everyone aboard a miracle. But more correctly, we now know it was a series of small miracles, every one of them vital to the success of the landing. At the helm, an experienced pilot who knew how to handle this kind of emergency. In the cabin, passengers who remained calm. A plane strong enough to hit the water without breaking apart and airtight enough to stay afloat. And rescuers who acted with amazing dispatch. We cover all this and begin with the investigation. ABC's Lisa Stark is down at the tip of Manhattan where the plane came to rest and is still in the water. Lisa?
It is indeed, Charlie. We're at Battery Park, and you can see the wing right there of the U.S. Airways jetway. It is still in the water, the frigid Hudson River. Crews tonight are still working to secure this jet. They hope to bring it up tomorrow morning, and that's also when investigators hope to recover the black boxes. Late today, investigators said unraveling this accident is as much about finding out what went wrong as what went right.
We want to look at everything that went into making what happened yesterday so survivable.
We learned today that when the jet hit the water, both engines sheared off. They're searching the Hudson River with sonar. Investigators want to find those engines to see if there is physical evidence of a bird strike. All indications are the jet did suffer a double bird strike shortly after takeoff from LaGuardia Airport. Sources say the pilot reported a total loss of engine power, that the plane became a glider. In a masterful move, the cockpit crew cleared the George Washington Bridge by 900 feet and set the plane perfectly in the water.
That's a 10 on airmanship. It requires everything for a pilot to do.
Today, the wife of Captain Sullenberger said she wouldn't have expected anything less of the veteran captain.
We'd just like to say that we are very grateful that everyone is off the airplane safely. And that was really what my husband asked to convey to everyone. And of course, we are very proud of Dad.
Now, late today, the flight attendants did talk with NTSB investigators, but the cockpit crew has not yet done that. Those critical interviews are expected to take place tomorrow morning. Charlie?
Lisa Stark here in Manhattan tonight. Thanks to you. Only a handful of passengers remain hospitalized. Many have continued on their journey to North Carolina. But oh, what a story they have to tell about their mere 6 minutes in flight.
On the plane, there was a sudden jerk. Just felt like turbulence.
You hear the sound, you hear the pop, and then you see the fire.
Pop, and we were kind of like, maybe it was a bird that was in the wing, but we're like sitting in the back, so we smelled something.
Nobody thought anything of it until we started to slowly go down, but it seemed like the pilot still had control.
And the stewardess got up, and she was kind of looking like, I need to stay calm, keep everybody else calm.
And within a minute, everybody really knew, what was happening. The people sitting next to me, we were, interlocked with our arms. And then you just heard the pilot, brace yourself for impact. How do you brace yourself for impact when you know your plane's about to crash?
Prepare for impact. Pray.
Yeah, this is preparing for impact. We were holding hands like this. And then the girl next to us, I held her hand. We just started praying.
We started to descend, and I nursed my son to keep everything relaxed.
So we knew we were going to come down and hit, so it was just that bracing yourself, thinking, how hard is it going to be?
We hit the water, and all you felt was cold wind and snow just coming through the window.
The impact hitting the water was just, the most tremendous impact you could imagine. I guess my head slammed into it. I lost my glasses. And then the water came up immediately.
The water's up to your ankles, the water's up to your calves, and you still haven't got under a seatbelt. And now you're like, wait a minute, the water's coming up on my knees. I gotta get out of here. What are we doing?
When I was in the plane trying to get to the wings, the water was up to my chest.
We basically just got everybody together to walk down the aisle. The water was rising.
And when I got to the door, the slide that normally would come out wasn't there yet, but they still said jump.
And there's another gentleman, and I don't know his name, but he held that raft. He stood in the water, like waist high, the whole time and held the raft. Because I said, do not let us go.
Kind of a calmness came over everybody, even though there were screams and even though there were people were crying, that it was still a calmness, like, okay, we're gonna live, period.
No survivor's guilt, because we all survived. I mean, you don't have to look back and think that anybody lost their life, which was really fantastic.
We're here.
We're here.
The water temperature at time of impact was 39 degrees. The air temperature was 21. There wasn't much time to get those passengers and crew out of the water, but it didn't take much time for rescuers to react. And they were well-trained rescuers. John Berman has that part of the story.
This isn't just a story about everything going right. It's a story about everything going right fast. 3:29 p.m. Ferryboat captain Vince Lombardi is loading passengers. He notices something out of the corner of his eye.
Honestly, I thought it was a strange-looking boat.
It wasn't. He speeds to the crash site. 3:32 p.m. Just 3 minutes after impact, he's the first to arrive.
I went to the wing first because I noticed those people were, in knee-deep water there, and I know hypothermia was going to set in quick.
He loads 56 people onto his boat. Moments later, other ferries arrive. Vince Lucanti's boat pulls the youngest passengers, 2 babies, from a life raft.
They got up to the second deck of the ferry where it is warmest, and they started to cry, which was the best sound we could hear.
The water ferries are owned by a private company, but that doesn't mean the people working on them are beginners when it comes to saving people. The crews train once a month for water rescues. Just 7 minutes after impact, 3:36 p.m., firefighter John Rizzo pilots the first fireboat to arrive, saving 15 passengers. He still can't believe it.
You don't have time to really think about the situation until after everything's over.
Then help from the air.
When I looked out the window and I saw what was in the water, I was speechless for a split second. And then it was time to work.
Police divers Michael Delaney and Robert Rodriguez get the call at their base at 3:30 p.m., more than 10 miles away. They race to the scene by helicopter. By 3:43, they're in the water. They save 2 women, easily the most imperiled passengers, fighting hypothermia in the frigid water.
These particular victims were succumbing to the conditions.
Then divers peer inside the plane, making sure no one is left.
Could this have possibly gone better? Absolutely not.
What began as a story of 155 people crashing into the water ends just 40 minutes later, with every last one of them out and every last one of them alive. John Berman, ABC News, New York.
And joining us now is our aviation consultant, John Nance. And John, when we talked last night on the air, you told me pilots train for just this kind of thing. But how can you train for something that happens so rarely?
Well, Charlie, it's hard to explain, but these things are partly instinctive and part a matter of understanding the normal sequence that the manufacturers tell you to follow. And we went out and found a simulator company, one of the few in the country that would help us explain this, to set this up. Now, the sequence we're going to show you is a bit compressed, but they did not have much time. The first order of business here is when they felt the impact of the birds, they would have immediately felt the loss of thrust. And in that loss of thrust, the first thing to do is push the nose over, trade altitude for airspeed, set up a stable descent, and then start asking the question, we've lost thrust, can we get it back? If the answer is no, you pull the throttles out of the way, and you then make the decision of where are we going to land. At that point, then they made the decision to land in the water versus try to make it to Teterboro. It's a matter of setting up a stable approach, and that means bringing the aircraft down while you're trying to do the last checklist items, getting the flaps out to the degree that you're supposed to, getting down over the water about 5 or 10 feet, and then holding it and letting it slow until the proper airspeed, and then flying it onto the water. And this was done in a masterful way with the wings perfectly level.
That's amazing. You get down to just a few feet and you hold it right above the water's level until you set it down.
That's right, and that's in a ground effect, so it helps you with a little bit of an air cushion, but that's what you want to do because you want to raise that nose up and set it down on the engines and the tail.
And John, I'm fascinated the engines got sheared off. I can't imagine that you could shear off engines without damaging the wings.
Well, you know, it is kind of strange, but from the beginning of the Boeing 707 and the DC-8 pod-mounted, wing-mounted engines, it was thought, and correctly so, that if we ever had anything hitting an engine, we want it to come off the wing without actually tearing the wing off. And that's the reason that they've got kind of a fuse plug situation that will tear away with the impact of water.
So they're designed to do that. That's fascinating. All right, John Nance, our aviation consultant, thanks very much. One other note on a lighter matter, the numbers 1549, because it was U.S. Air Flight 1549, have become the hot ticket in the New York State Lottery. Those numbers are sold out through next Tuesday. The wagering was cut off after that set of numbers reached the $5 million cap. And the crash investigators and divers are working in bitter cold here in New York, part of the deep freeze from the Midwest to the Northeast. Today's low was 12 degrees in New York, and temperatures plunged well below zero all the way from Minnesota to Maine. At least 5 deaths are now being blamed on the Arctic cold wave. Well, still ahead on World News, the president-elect makes an ambitious promise about jobs as major companies cut 50,000 more workers. New trouble for 2 big banks, staggering losses mount despite billions from taxpayers. And then no question who should be our person of the week, the pilot, Sully Sullenberger. He knew just what to do, and he did it.
This is World News with Charles Gibson, brought to you by T. Rowe Price.
Disciplined investing. It isn't about star fund managers. At T. Rowe Price, it's about experienced investment teams that stay the course. It's the same way we've managed investments for over 70 years. Low-cost mutual funds from T. Rowe Price. Invest with confidence. Request a complete prospectus or profile with investment objectives, risks, fees, expenses, and other information to read and consider carefully before investing.
You won't need this. Tonight, try something new instead. Bird's Eye Steam Fresh Meals for 2. Let your delicious dinner cook itself perfectly in just 10 minutes. New Steam Fresh Meals for 2. Now in the frozen meals aisle.
If you've had a heart attack caused by a completely blocked artery, another heart attack could be lurking, waiting to strike. A heart attack caused by a clot, one that could be fatal. But Plavix helps save lives. Plavix, taken with other heart medicines, goes beyond what other heart medicines do alone to provide greater protection against heart attack or stroke and even death by helping to keep blood platelets from sticking together and forming clots. Ask your doctor about Plavix, protection that helps save lives.
If you have a stomach ulcer or other condition that causes bleeding, you should not use Plavix. When taking Plavix alone or with some other medicines, including aspirin, the risk of bleeding may increase, so tell your doctor before planning surgery. And always talk to your doctor before taking aspirin or other medicines with Plavix, especially if you've had a stroke. If you develop fever or unexplained weakness or confusion, tell your doctor promptly, as these may be signs of a rare but potentially life-threatening condition called TTP, which has been reported rarely, sometimes in less than 2 weeks after starting therapy. Other rare but serious side effects may occur.
If you take Plavix with other heart medicines, continuing to do so will help increase your protection against a future heart attack or stroke beyond your other heart medicines alone. You may be feeling better, but your risk never goes away. Help stay protected. Stay with Plavix.
President-elect Obama traveled to Ohio to begin his journey to the inauguration today and to do some campaigning for his economic stimulus plan. He's pressing Congress to pass an $825 billion package designed to cut taxes and create jobs. And the need for jobs became even more urgent today. Here's ABC's Jake Tapper.
At a factory in Bedford Heights, Ohio, outside Cleveland today, President-elect Obama praised the environmentally friendly green jobs he says will help bring back the economy.
This is our finished product right here.
Most of the product made in this cell is for the wind turbine industry.
Cardinal Fastener and Specialty Incorporated manufactures turbine parts for wind power. The president-elect says his stimulus package will create 459,000 jobs in the energy field and 3.7 million total in new jobs and jobs saved.
Cardinal hired 2 workers this week. With all the word of jobs being lost and businesses shuttered, jobs were created right here this week.
But the Arctic chill that greeted Mr. Obama when he landed in Ohio this morning is rivaled by the chilly reception by Republicans for the $825 billion stimulus bill that hit Capitol Hill this week.
Oh my God. They're moving on this path along the flawed notion that we can borrow and spend our way back to prosperity.
That skepticism and the worsening economy is why 4 days before he's even sworn in, Mr. Obama is out selling his plan.
Even with the measures that we're taking, things could get worse before they get better.
Evidence of that gloomy forecast came today with announcements of at least 48,000 layoffs from 7 companies. Mr. Obama now turns to his train trip, which will depart from the station here in Philadelphia for the nation's capital tomorrow morning. The theme of the trip, bringing the people's voice to Washington. The trip is modeled after one taken by President Abraham Lincoln, who stopped here on the way to his first inaugural in 1861. Mr. Obama has been invoking Lincoln, a hero of his, since he began his run for the presidency. Jake Tapper, ABC News, Philadelphia.
And we learned today that President-elect Obama apparently will not have to part with his beloved BlackBerry come Tuesday. Top advisors tell us he'll be able to hang on to it for personal contacts outside the White House bubble. But he had some trouble hanging on to it today, accidentally dropping it onto the airport tarmac. A reminder, you can go inside the inauguration with ABC News. Our website has all the details, from the preparation to the gala balls and a look at inaugurations through the years. You'll find it all at abcnews.com. Coming up, 2 major banks show massive new losses despite billions more to bail them out. And the pilot who made all the difference for Flight 1549, the U.S. Air Captain everyone knows as Sully, and he is our person of the week.
If your auto policy could talk, what would it tell you?
Ah, the smell of money. I'm the auto policy that you're paying too much for. You're paying for stuff you don't even need. But hey, you got